Hi guys, how are you? Usual check, audio. Is audio okay? Can someone type in the chat just to make sure you can hear me alright? I'm sure you can, but just to so I can hear it, see it. Put a message, can you hear me? Quiet. Quiet, is it? Let's turn it up a bit then. Oh, it's maxed. Let's bring it closer. Okay, so you can hear me, so that's the main thing. Let's bring it a bit closer. There we go. Right, yeah. I thought I'd do something different today. Maybe a little bit more interesting. I'm going to take you through the design. And a bit like I used to do in the old days when I'd actually show you the modelling software and show it all working and show you what my thoughts and so on. Some of you may have seen the pictures I released, but you know, I literally just released them to my Discord, basically my patrons. And so you're going to see a bit more of that today. I'm going to try and keep this down to manageable, 40 minutes, something like that, you know, not too long. But just an update, basically show things are going on. So if there's any questions, just put the word question at the front of the question. It makes life easy. I will scan through all of them. If anyone notices any spam, shout out and I'll just get rid of it. Yeah, I suppose another reason I'm speaking quietly is because my little boy's asleep. I don't want to shout. I'm a bit more focused on me. Can you see my 1000? There it is. She's now vamped up. I've been meaning to do it for a long time. I bought myself one of the last V2 vampires, and I'm really lucky I've got one actually, because to be blunt, I don't really want to spend £450 on the latest version. I'm quite happy with the V2. It's fantastic. And so she is absolutely amazing. And another reason for doing it was because part of the reason for doing this project is because I want to mine it for my computers. And so regardless of this Kickstarter succeeds, this one's just quite nice. But of course this is a pre-prototype sort of job. But the next one, I'm trying to make it so that I'm happy with it. If it doesn't kick off, I'll have a couple of these monitors, and I'll be a happy bunny. Right, so I suppose some updates. So I've been, as you can see, I think I've probably shown these, but what if I just switch it? And now I'm going to put this onto autofocus, which means it's going to put a bloody square around my head, which is really annoying, but it's just the way the camera works. But it will then focus, right? I can't do that. It's really annoying, you know. Look, okay. So if you haven't seen this, this is, so I've been playing my 3D printer. Well, not playing actually, putting it to work. So that's the board we're going to use. As you can see, there's all these connectors that go on the back, and basically, this is like think of this as a patch bay for what's capable on the board, just standard. And as I think I mentioned before, there's kind of slight negative in the fact you've got a component on it. The composite is fantastic. Two composite inputs, and they're fantastic. I'm really pleased with them with audio. But it's got a really high quality component input standard on this board. The trouble is, as I've mentioned before, it doesn't do non-interlacing. So it's kind of pain in the butt. But that kind of inspired me, because originally I think I mentioned this last time. I was going to go down the whole route with one of these OSSCs and, you know, get really quite complex and make this, fit this inside, make a kit so it puts out the front, really get complex, really expensive. But then this amazing project, which I found out about, I mean, a lot of you already knew about it, but the GBS control, this little device, which is absolutely fantastic. It's like a little firmware board, simple connection. And then I met up with Byron, who's doing a prototype board of what I had in my head. He'd already more or less done it, but just needed the connectors moving. So that's ongoing, so that's really good news. And of course, I suppose the final bit of the project really, I mean, because I don't know whether OSSC is going to matter now, because we've got this GPS, and with this firmware and a couple of tweaks, it's actually really good for most people. Now, I'm still going to do the OSSC, but it's not a priority now, I don't think. But what a lot of people want is Super VHS, and that's very important. So you can stick in, I've got a couple here. This is actually to fit in my existing version. But that one, remember I said it was really small, it's stupid, lack of space. Now they're much bigger. But so you can put one or the other in this. So yeah, so it's all coming on, but I thought you might like to see where I'm getting on with the actual designer. Maybe kind of, let me just turn this autofocus off. It's bloody annoying. Right. Let's focus back on the Amiga, it's far more interesting. There, get a bit of focus on the Amiga. As someone said, it's a bit like a facelift. It's soft focus. Oh no, am I going to put it onto this one? Or shall I put it onto... No, that wasn't it. How about that one? Oh no, I unlocked it. Right. Now, some of you, this may be the first time you've seen this. Well, not the first, probably not the first. If you're here, it's not the first time you've seen this, is it? But it might be the first time you've seen it progressed. So, what we've got here, obviously, is this is with the 17-inch panel. But I'm going to take this thing apart, and so you can have a look at it. But let's have a little scan around now. So let's turn it around. Hang on. Right. So now you can see it's inspired by the 1084 because I put my ump in there. Absolutely no. Well, the marketing reason is going to be because it gives a good boom chamber for the speakers. It's rubbish. It just looks like a 1084. But you notice I've also put the handle in. Now I may tidy, I'm still not happy with the way the transition into that, and I may tidy it up. But I was going to not do it. I was going to put it into this hump here, the handle, and it looks stupid. And then I thought, oh, just stick it in there because you're not even going to know. It's going to. Hopefully you guys think this looks alright. Put something in the comments if you think it sucks. But if you like it, put it in the comments. And as you can see now, I've done the tweak at the bottom. There was Darius mentioned this, that I've got this nice little chin at the front, but at the back it was flat, so I embedded that in. Marcus, a while off. I will come to the. Well, okay. Let me address that now. Right. Kickstarter. My thinking at the moment is the Kickstarter will be launched. I think. Well, how's it working out? Yeah, the end of March. The idea is it's a 30-day Kickstarter or whatever it is, but it's going to be timed so that the OLL show is in the middle, so that people can come along to the show and see the monitors, and if they like the monitors, they can jump on the Kickstarter. That's the plan, as long as it doesn't get cancelled again. Now, it's probably going to be a 9-month Kickstarter. Because this, even though it's 90% designed, 95%, well now 90% designed, I'm going to have to do another revision of the prototypes. This one here is going to be the one that goes to the Kickstarter. But for example, I've made a decision not to design the rotating stand. Because if the Kickstarter fails, I'll have invested so much money, because that's going to be quite complex, and I'm a bit concerned about that. To get that right, I'm a bit worried about that. So at the moment it's got a fixed stand, fixed position, like the other one, but bolted in, nice and solid. So you won't see the moving stand, but that will come on the Kickstarter. Now the other thing about that is I'm really going to be working on the stretch goals this time, big time, because people want, there's 80% people want the 19-inch, and about 20%, do the math, about 20% want the 17-inch. But to do a 17-inch is another $10,000 for another mould for that front bezel. So that's going to be a stretch goal. And the other thing is, I actually probably won't use this with a stand. So I'm thinking of making the stand a stretch goal. Because it's probably going to cost 20 grand in tooling just for the stand. It's going to be quite expensive because I think there's going to be 3, maybe 4 parts. It's going to be really expensive. Visa mount, are those Visa mounts? No, they're not. I've thought about Visa. I mean, we could make an adapter, but it's stupid because Visa mounts will cover up the back ports. Why would you do that? Having said that, we could make a Visa mount system that stands right back up. So these holes here, if you see the 4 holes at the top, okay, that one, that one, that one, and that one, they're going to mount the frame, the plastic rear onto the chassis. But they could also mount like a Visa mounting. We could design a Visa adapter, shall we say, because this bit in the middle takes up an awful lot of space. The whole point of this monitor is that you've got all of this. So if you do want that, I probably will make something, but not straight away. But yeah, so it's going to be very much stretch goal based, because there's so much. This is going to be a really expensive project, really expensive. So I'll give you more details later on, but it's no other way I can do this because I think we're going to be talking like the whole thing probably £80,000 in tooling. Yeah, it's really, really quite expensive. Right, but let me take this thing apart so you can have a look at it. Right, so basically what we've got here, now I've got the 17-inch monitor. Let me bring the thing over. Right, first thing we'll do is we'll turn off the bezel. So we'll take the bezel off. As you can see, same thing, you can see the chassis now. In fact, should we put this into design mode, into render mode? Make it look a bit sexier. Is this going to look any better? Make it look a bit sexier. Nah, you don't need that. It doesn't look any better, does it? Oh, where you gone? Come back. Right, so there's the monitor there, and you can see a 17-inch panel. Now remember, if you're going to put a 19-inch panel in there, we literally just switch that out, put in the 19-inch panel and the bezel. Let's put both in. There we go. Turn off the brackets. So as you can see, thinner bezels. And if you want the 17-inch one, you get a fatter bezel. Let me just hide that one. So that's how it works. It's going to be, they're going to be the same price as well. Something, if you don't know this, the 17 and the 19 are exactly the same price. And the main reason being, it's more expensive to make the 17 than the 19. And I've got an extra 10 grand, $10,000 in tooling costs to make that bezel. So, it isn't. There's no difference in price. So if you think you're buying that to get it cheaper, no chance. I was thinking of making it more expensive, but obviously that don't make sense. Right. So let's turn off the bezels, and we'll turn off the panel. And now you can see the chassis. Let's hide the mount frames. And in fact, I'll turn off the chin. Oh, there's a lot of stuff on there. Okay. Right. So now if I turn off the rear panel and the base, so now what you can see here is the chassis. There's an awful lot going on with this chassis now. I mean, it's just an enhanced version of what it was before. If you're wondering what that lip is at the top, yeah, that's where the handle goes in. If I put the rear panel on, if I can find the rear panel, so you can see in there, and that little piece of metal literally sits above that, and it just supports it. Okay, so you can lift it. Now this steel chassis is going to hold the whole thing together. It's going to be pretty damn strong, to be fair. Bolt at the top, bolt at the bottom, bolt at the back. So it's going to be really, really strong. If I take the rear off again, turn it around, so you can see my speaker mounts. Now I've got some really nice speakers. I've got more coming in to do some tests. I'm doing some tests on them, and I've got funny enough, the speakers on that monitor actually aren't too bad, but the one in the loft are way better, and I've got some even more slightly advanced. So it's kind of balanced between price and quality of audio. It's not going to be hi-fi, no, but I'm trying to make it really nice quality audio because I can't like it. Right, so speakers mount on there. I've tried and decide if it's a good idea to rubber mount the speakers. I don't know if that's a good thing, or make it solid mount. Turn on the rear panel. What you can see now also, I've got the vents now. If you wonder, if you've noticed, the vents have changed direction now. They're going down instead of across. The reason for that is when it gets pulled out of the mould, this will come out. The other one would never come out of the mould. So this has actually been designed so that it's on the road to be mouldable. So I can actually mould this. But you'll notice down here, if you look at the speaker grills, you see I've got these little, where at the top you see they're half, and then half vents and half just effect. And this kind of goes around in a semicircle, so because of the speakers can be right behind that. So I've done that obviously on both sides. If you're wondering what these bends are in here, if I turn on the mount frames, I've only got one in fact, let me put a different mount frame on. Let's turn the two blanks off. Put that one in. So basically all these they're just a little bit of support underneath the tray, because last time I had the bars going right across and you couldn't get your hands in, but now you've got this massive hole with it which you can work in. If I turn these all off, you've got this great big hole you can work in. It's absolutely amazing. So that was one of the lessons I learned with the other one. But as you can see, so it's now I can see the screws go into the four positions here, and they've got these bars, call them what you like, to hold it all together. And the same thing at the top, it's done slightly differently, it mounts onto there. And you'll also see these 4 holes now. Instead of the other one just popping on, now it's actually going to screw on. So I've got these holes in the back now, as you can see, and the screws will go into a bezel. Let's pick a bezel. So say I've got them both on here, haven't I? Let's turn one off. There you go. So the screws go straight through into the front panel, and then of course at the bottom you've got what I'm calling the chin. That's actually going to be part of the bezel. There won't be a separate piece. That's going to be part of the bezel, but I'm just working on it at the moment. Once I've finished, I'll attach it to it. So you can see that that's the whole front end. Now, at the moment, no door. I don't know about a door. I mean, well, for one thing, it's a bugger to design because I've got this big metal chassis in there holding it together. It's not an awful lot of room, and I don't know whether a door is actually going to be worth it, or if it's a good idea. I'm still kind of on the fence a little bit with that. So for this version, I'm not having a door. But what I have got, and also this bottom here is for the prototypes. Very important to understand this. So for example, that is a completely fake button. Doesn't do anything. It's just going to be part of the mould. Now, why I put that there? Because my plan is to make that from my plus cases, to implement that. But it's kind of it's a bit of work, and I don't want to spend, if it's not a success, I don't want to spend a fortune on doing this. Now you'll notice this here. If I turn on the button bar in the utility panel, this is literally the buttons from the button bar. I'm not doing anything special. For this one, I probably won't bother. So you can see this is the button bar that comes out and it connects to the controller. It's literally just going to be that. The final version will have nice buttons, and this is going to be redesigned. So that's why I'm not doing it this time. If this is a success, this bar will be completely redesigned and stretched, so I can put my big button on it, so I can have a slightly different LED, so my infrared, all those kind of things. We're going to customize it and make much nicer buttons and a bit more spread out. That's why there's a lot of space there, because I intend spreading that right out. So that's going to be quite nice. Now, this is really important, I think. So this bit here, that is what I'm calling the utility bar. So it's 100 wide. Yeah, it's 100 millimeters wide and 15 tall. So basically, there's a lot of things. I mean, you can see I've put in here 3 USBs. So if you've got, like, for example, if you have one of the kits and you put a D10 Nano or a Pi, you'll be able to run the USBs to the front so you can use them with joysticks or whatever. Even a keyboard, mouse and joystick, you know, whatever you want to put in it. You'll still have them at the back, but it means you've got them at the front as well. But you might, for example, once we've done it, because it will be part of the plan, is to put an OSSC in it with one of these little controllers in it. Or you might have, for example, on the because there's an OLED panel for the GBS now because of the control. So we're probably going to do a little OLED panel for that to go on the front. So there's a whole load of things you'll be able to do on that utility panel, and I'll make the designs freely. Obviously, they'll probably do the whole thing again if anyone asks for it, to let them have it, because it kind of works really well. Right, so I'm going to shut up for a minute, and I'm just going to go through these questions. So let's see what we've got any. Hello. When can we expect to release the screens? I've already said it. Talking a year. I think it's looking good so far. I'm very excited with this project. Yeah, I hope people tell you. Yeah, so do I. Yeah, hello Byron. So OLL. Yeah, I mean, originally, because it was in January. I was just going to roll. It was going to be about February time, the Kickstarter, something like that. Because these designs are almost done now. But I thought, well, if I did the Kickstarter around the time of the show, so the second half, so there's always a massive splurge usually, like the last couple of times, whoosh, lots and lots and lots of sale. Everyone jumps on board, and then it goes quiet, and then you panic. But then I'm going to go to the show. There's going to be an awful lot of people there, and bear in mind, this monitor is designed to be across the community. It's not meant to be just for Amiga owners. It's meant to be for everyone. So. Hopefully that will then push it even further, because the value of this Kickstarter is going to be high. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be high because there's so much tooling, and it's an expensive product to make. This is not going to be cheap. I'm sorry, but it's not going to be cheap. I obviously around the Kickstarter time you'll find out. Well, I've obviously got to give a price, but I'm still kind of. I'm going to know a little bit on what bits we include, and hence the stretch goals. I think I've answered the visa holes. Yeah, so they're not visa holes, they're the wrong size. But because we've got a massive big hole for all the bits you put into it, there's nothing stopping me doing. Because the other thing is, if you put a visa mount on it, you ain't getting to it. What's the point of this monitor? Go and buy a bloody standard 4.3 or 16.9 monitor, just slap it on the thing. That's not what this is designed for mounting. Now, having said that, I don't have a problem designing a mount that adapts those bolts, pushes it forward so you can get to the back, and gives you a nice big gap, so then you can mount that onto a stand or on a wall or something like that. I don't have a problem with that, but that may well follow on later. Marcus, hope they'll also release a black version. Absolutely. Absolutely. CD-TV, imagine this on top of a CD-TV. So yeah, definitely a black version. And already it's 50-50, the colour's 50-50. So far it's 80% people want 19-inch, 20% want 17, and of the 19-inch, black, it's split again, like the original Plus case. It's split between them, so black is really important. There won't be any delays this time. I'm actually going to put a different texture on it this time, so it will stop that problem we had with the original one, because it was a bit of naivety on my part, because it was all new to me, injection moulding. And whilst the green case looked great, the black one looked terrible. It looked like someone just rubbed it with sandpaper. It was horrendous. But that won't be happening again. I see you sank it 10 degrees through the floor plane. How does that sit flat? Yeah, okay, so I haven't really sunk it. Let me just put this back. I've got it set there for design work, but basically it sits at about 3 degrees standard. So you can see I've got feet on the bottom. So what I'd have to do is, let me just do this. Why does it keep doing that? I don't want it to do that. I must have pressed something, haven't I? I've changed the select. Right, let's tip it. The way it's naturally going to sit is 3 degrees. That's going to be its natural resting position. Bezels. Should we put a screen on it? Here we go. Yeah. Oh, of course. Oh, God. See, that's what I don't like doing it. Right. So there you go. Let me just put that back. There you go. Right, now turn that back on, because obviously while I'm designing it, I've got to keep everything vertical. Yeah, it's going to have a 3% incline on it, and you can see the feet underneath, right? And these holes are where the base mounts. So if I show you the base, now this is only temporary. This is only for my 2 prototypes. Okay. The concept will be it will look similar, but of course it'll have some kind of mechanism so you can swing it forward and back, that kind of thing. But yeah, so ignore the flat base and the pain. It doesn't make any difference to the project. Let's turn these on. Button bar, util panel. There you go. There you go. Right, next question. Some of these mounts are hollow in the middle. Not sure if that works for the design. Yeah, Visa mounts. Yeah, I mean, look, the Visa mounts. There's a wide range of different sizes you can do in Visa mounts, but mine's completely off that. And because look, it's really important that you have the. I mean, this is a massive Great P. That big old L. You can't have stuff in the way of that because you've got all these sitting on there. Potentially you've got all that, and then if you've got a Visa mount, you can't put anything in it. What's the point? So if I do a Visa stand, which I probably will, if there's demand, I'll do it because it's quite straightforward. I can just make a metal mount that bolts into those 4 positions, comes back I don't know, about 3 inches or something, so you can get cables in the back, and then has a proper Visa mount, and then you can mount that up. Okay, but I personally don't see the point. This is meant to sit on the desk or sit on computers, so the old 1084 sound is so much better than the new type 1084s. Yeah, the new ones are rubbish, and in fact they look. I've got one up in the loft. The ST, I think it is stereo. It's not as good. That one over there sounds much better. So I'm trying to make a nice sound for it. Will there be several cable connections like HDMI, VGA? Well, you can see, yeah, on the back. I mean, we got so it's important to understand that this is a normal panel, controller, but it's called an audio-visual one. So it has HDMI, it has VGA, but it also has onboard audio-visual. So you have 2 composite inputs and a single shared stereo. But you also have this component input, which works great with. I mean, the composite works with everything, and it looks really good. Now, is it as good as one of these? Is it as good as one of these? The little retro tinks or something like that? Nah, probably not. But is it good enough to play? Yeah, fantastic. I run my Nintendo 64 for it. It's fantastic. If you plug an Amiga into the composite, it looks really amazing because it even interlaced. High res, it looks fantastic. I'm not saying it looks like RGB, but I tell you what, it's stable and you can work on it. Now there is a component version that is way better. It's like RGB, but again, it's the built-in component will not do non-interlace, which is a pain. So if you're not one, but you could switch to composite, but this is not going to add much to the cost. And this is when the Amiga plugs in, you get RGB SCART, you get a good component input because it can do all the non-interlace as well. You can plug in CGA and EGA as well. So this board here is pretty much covering an awful lot of things you want to do, and it is not going to be that expensive. Even with this, and you can control it by a web browser. It's just fantastic. When this is finished, I think this is going to be pretty special, but I'm biased, obviously. And there's still room then if you want to for you know, stick a mister in it, or stick a pie in it, or stick a retro tink in it, you know. Front access to USB ports for Pi Mister will be super handy. Yeah, so that's completely user definable. You'll be able to print your own. The design it'd be easy for you to just print your own. It's just be a standard size. Plenty of room. I think 100 wide, but I'm kind of limited a bit on the size. So you've got 15 millimeters high and 100 wide. Now you think, well, you've got tons of room there, but unfortunately, if I take the rear off, can you see that metal chassis? Yeah, and you'll notice even then, right, you have to kind of drop it in and clip it in. So I've got to test this, see if this all works nicely. But you'll basically clip that into place. Yeah, you can see that. Look, I haven't even done them properly. Look, better move them later. Yeah, so, but that'll be a clip in, and you can put what you like on that. Now, again, whereas I was saying earlier, you could put one of these little LCD displays in it. You can put what you like in it. You've got all that space that can plug into anything internally. You could have like 2 USB ports and a headphone jack. That's probably what I'm going to have. So, and that'll probably be the standard one. Now, as far as the door's concerned, I don't know about a door yet. I would tempted. I'd love to do a door. I did think about doing it so that you can't lose it, so it kind of drops down from the top and then you lift it up and it clips and you pull it down, that kind of thing, so you never lose it. The trouble is, it's, you know, there's this, it's actually not that big in here. I mean, you've got a massive panel in here. If you put a 19-inch panel in here, but if I turn on that 19-inch panel, or it is on, you see, you've not got a huge amount of space. I mean, there is space there. So there may be a drop-down door, and I shunt everything back a bit behind the door. But we'll see. I'm not too sure about that. Bought the black mini case for the Vampire V4. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. I obviously, you know, quite pleased with my cases. I think most people are as well. The Visa isn't very retro. Yeah, it's not very retro, but I don't understand why some people actually want it. But whatever. I mean, I will make an adapter, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Okay. Well, right. Bottom question: if someone doesn't use the stand on the monitor, what do you think of your fancy Checkmate Mini? Well, I could put the holes in, but I think they'd look a bit naff because they're really big. I think they look good under the case, but I think they're too big, and they're probably, you know, they're gonna lift it up that much. You might as well put a stand on it. So I don't know about that. Yeah, I mean, but that, again, it's personal choice, isn't it? I mean, I could put the holes in there so you could do it. Because at the moment, if I show you the underneath, if I've got to bring that back up again. I put the panel on and turn the stand off. Now at the moment, press the base. At the moment, it's very, very, very simple. Because remember, I'm trying to do this so I can mould it and pull it out with a machine. Now, like that will come out of a mould like that. And so, and basically, these are the size of my sticky feet. Right? I did think about embedding them in, but then you won't be able to pull it out the mould. So you'll be able to stick them on there, and they'll look quite. I think that'd be quite nice, and just drop it on the table. You've got a little bit of angle, and I'm probably going to do that. I've never really been a fan of stands much. I mean, that one over there doesn't have it. You can have a stand on it, but I don't have it on there. And you can see the pictures. Oh no, you can't see the picture at the top. They kind of make it look a bit tall. But I don't know. I mean, it's going to be there. It's, you know, I know a lot of people will want to stand because it's the look, and I obviously want to do it. But I do think the stand's going to cost another 20,000 tooling cost. If you're wondering what my drink of the evening is, Abbott. So yeah, let's bring that back round again. hopefully you like it. Hopefully you like the 1084 hump. I kind of I put if it I think it just adds a feature and it adds. Oh yeah, I remember that. You'll notice this is actually a bit taller because it's quite a big monitor. So if you look at the back of the 1084, the top of that bit isn't much above it, but of course I had to do that because of the size. I mean, I could have made this taller, but I didn't need to. So hopefully I've got the proportions right and you're happy with the proportions. Again, I'd like that a bit smoother, and I may go over that again and maybe rethink that. But the idea of that is that you'll put your hands in there, because it's I mean, literally you can only get your fingers in about that far. So you put your hand in there and then bring your finger over the top and just lift it and put your, well, I mean, it will hold, you know, as I said, it will hold quite well. If you put your hand over and put your thumb under the bezel, you can just lift the thing and move it with no hassle. And I just thought it'd be, oh, hang on, don't worry, it's just my camera doing its thing. I just think it's I think it's a handy thing to have, and I think it'll probably look quite cute actually, especially if you want a Mac system on it. Yeah, the sticky feet. I mean, remember this is a prototype. So how we do that? If I can get it so that I can have an indent, and then the feet would just go into it and stick. Because the sticky feet, it's a way of doing it, and the stand is the main thing. But for a lot of people, because I have these felt ones which I put on my cases, they're really nice. And put that on there, stuck on there. It'll sit on the monitor. It'll sit nice. It won't damage the case. It's just really nice bit of quality. But once that's sat flat on a computer, I think that it looked really good. I did put it on one of my cases, and it does look pretty good on top of the Plus. Obviously, it's a bit bigger than the Mini, but yeah. But this only weighs 2 kilos, and the original 16 kilos. 2 kilos. This monitor is not 2 kilos. This monitor is probably about the weight of one of my mini case, probably more. Because don't forget, there's that massive piece of metal, all this plastic, a big panel, all the controller boards and everything else. It's not going to be lightweight. I don't know. I should weigh it actually, but it's not going to be light. So actually having a handle is probably a good thing. But that's why I put that bent metal, so that when you lift it, it's above it, so it'll take the strain and it won't bend up. Yeah, but to be fair, what I have done, if you haven't noticed, I've taken some huge amount of metal out of it, right down the sides. It's a great big chunk out there, just to try and reduce some of the weight without weakening it. So yeah, it ain't gonna be light. It ain't gonna be light at all. But hopefully it's it's gonna be something you're gonna like. If I turn everything off and just show you the inside of the chassis, leave that on. Don't know. I even say fake button. Look. Okay. And mount frames. So basically, this is the interior of the chassis. So you can see there's quite a lot going on here. This bit here obviously is where your hand goes in, and then on top of it, the metal goes right the way along and kind of slots in there. So if there's any flex at all in this, as you lift it, it'll be stopped by the metal. And I've still got. I haven't put any draft on these. These are the mounting points for the front bezel, 4 mounting points. There's also locators now. So if you look on the bezel, let's get the 19 and get rid of the rear panel. No, let's turn the bezel on. Okay, so if you look around the back, if you see these little bits here, that one there, they're locators, and they're basically angled. So the idea, I hope it works. See, they're angled. that between there and there is exactly the thickness of the plastic going round, which is 3 millimeters. So the idea of this is it should in theory just locate, and then you just screw in. So it should make assembly really simple. You just put it on, it automatically locates into place, and you just put the screws in. Now, probably going to be asked the question, what about brass? I don't know about brass yet. I actually quite like the idea of putting the brass inserts into there, because on the Plus and Mini they're self-tapping, and it's never been a problem. But then once you put that front panel on, you're never really taking it off. You might want to take this off. I don't know. So maybe brass inserts. Depends. I've got to speak to the manufacturer about putting inserts in there. Again, cost, but it might be worth it. When I get it and I can see if I'm constantly taking it on and off, then it'll have to have brass insert. But if I feel that I've actually got it right and you can work internally with it, that's my plan. And so you can do anything from the back. What's the view from above? Bloody good question. Let me turn all this back on. There you go. There's your view from above. Anyone who is observing, I don't think you'll notice actually, but I did notice when I finished this the other day, I noticed that I've got this bit here is slightly narrower than this bit here, which is really annoying. But I ain't doing it again. This is the third attempt at this, so it's fine. It's fine. This is only the prototype. It won't be the final one. I'll correct on the final one. Yeah, this won't be as heavy as the CRT, but it ain't going to be light. I mean, the thing is, I've got a bloody metal chassis inside, and the idea is I want it strong. I want this thing to last 50 years, alright? And you might want to later on just swap out a panel. You might want to, I don't know, it depends how this goes. You may go, oh no, I bought a 17, I want a 19, that kind of thing, and, do an upgrade kind of, yeah. I think it would be good if the front panel was easily removable. For instance, someone had one monitor but both screens they wanted to swap out as designed. Yeah, I don't see look, it's going to be expensive. I mean, I'll tell you now. I mean, I've got no. These panels are $100 each. They're not cheap. They're not the cheap $45 ones. Okay, from China. These are not cheap, and that's in 1,000. They're not cheap. So. By the time you had a controller, I'm not going to quote prices. You already know what I'm thinking of prices, but I'm trying to at the moment decide, does the standard monitor have this as standard? I don't know, because not everyone's going to buy this, but I want to have a base version, and you just add that in for probably £50. That's my thinking at the moment, about £50. Just literally add it in, and then you still got a bay at the top that you can plug in a Mister or a Raspberry Pi if that's what you want to do. How balanced is the weight? Good question, but you'll notice, can you see the stand sticking out a bit more? And it's also a lot bigger. So if I turn this, hang on, where's it gone? Right. Let's go sideways. Now, admittedly, but I don't want to tip it because in case I forget to bring it back, because if I do anything, it makes it up. But I'm making the stand for this version bigger, but I'm limited because I'm making it a circle, because when I do the rotation, I need to put it on like a circle inside a circle, so you can do that. And I've only got that much room. Literally, that's all the room I've got. In fact, I could have gone forward a little bit more actually. But that one there is half the one is Well, it's about half the size. I did a 50% increase on this. That one's a lot smaller. It's not a problem. Look, I'm not building that, right? But when it arrived, I went, that is a bit small, isn't it? But this one's big. Now again, I may think, oh God, that's overkill. Shrink it, and I will be experimenting with designs for the base. But as I said, what I've done at the moment is I put these holes in the base at the moment so I can mount and experiment. This just mounts this stand. In fact, if I turn everything off, you can see. Let me get rid of this stuff. There's so many things to get rid of. If you see that at the moment, that just literally just bolts in and it bolts it together. But I'm going to do some experimentation, and because I've got the 3D printer, which is brilliant, and I'm going to experiment. But for me, purely for me, I'm quite happy with this for now. And when I go to the shows, because it's solid, because I don't want to go there because it's going to be really expensive to experiment with the rotation and getting that right. And anyone comes along and messes with it, it won't be finished. No, I want some budget to do it. So there's going to be a bit of money put in. You know what I'm like? I'm obsessive about certain things, and this will be one of them, making it nice. That's going to cost money to experiment. So for now, I'm just going to go. It just stands there. You bolt it on and wallop. Someone might want to respray the chassis custom colours to match the 1200 case. So good it can be. Yeah, you did the I don't know if you saw that case. The internal metal is powder coated. I don't muck about. That's powder coated. Even though you're never going to see it, when you open it up, it's going to look fantastic inside. I haven't decided on the colour yet, because at the moment it's oyster white, but I don't think oyster white. I think it's got to be more beige, because I want it to look good on old computers, and most of them are beige. So it's going to be a slightly different colour, because it will still look good on my cases, but it's not meant to be a matching colour. You won't want to respray this. Once you get this, trust me, you won't want to respray this. Well, you can do it like with it painted green. I don't care as long as you buy it. But my plan is to make them look gorgeous. Some people might want panels for arcade builds. Why? Look. Our whole arcade thing at 15 kilohertz, if that's what you're talking about, actually bored me now. I'm just bored with it. I tried to get it, but even the people I was pointed to didn't have any. Ain't got none. Don't think I'm ever going to get them again. No one's got them. You can't get 15 kilohertz without selling a kidney, and every person you know's kidney. Where does Chipmate logo go? That's a good question. Let's put this all back on again, actually. So, if you remember rightly, Paul did. Oh, Christ almighty, there's an awful lot going on here, isn't there? Let me turn this all back on again. There we go. And beds. Right. Does look quite nice, though. Right, let's have a look at the logo. Which would be a good one to show. So this picture Paul did. So he put this here, and I'm thinking of reproducing it, because that one didn't have a front on it, and he put the logo here. So I'm going to probably put Checkmate logo on the monitor. And because obviously there's a chin underneath there now, so that's more than likely where it's going to go, because there's no door there now, okay, because it's under, you've got a chin underneath it. But I actually really like the look of that, so that's probably going to go there. Ignore the matron, that was just funny. He put that there and I left it because I thought it was quite funny, but that's not obviously going to be there. Just extra panels for DIY project. Well, look, you can get my panels. I mean, I don't care. If I can tell you where to get the panels, if people want the panels, but that's not going to help because you need a lot of electronics, you need upscalers, because there's a lot of stuff going into this. If you have a source for panels, many people may want to go through you to get them. And well, look, panellook.com. Just go there, panel look. There, I don't care. I'll show you, and it might be fun for you to see this. Panellook.com. This site basically shows you all the panels in production in the world. So you want, let's say, a 19-inch panel. Let's go and look for a 19-inch panel. Size. Let's go 19-inch because that's kind of what we're on. Here we go. Right, so what you want is you want the wide view angle, obviously. Now, what you do also want is to turn on, you need IPS family, okay, it's very important. That sucks, you've got to get your viewing angle good. And as you can see, so they're all 1280 by 1024. I know people go, oh yeah, it's not for free. Jesus Christ, it is for free if you're using a PC, but they're all different resolutions. So just but that's the size of the panels. You can get other size resolution panels, but interestingly, if you actually look, also there's a lot in there, but there's only 19 in production. That's a really important one. There's not that many in production, and you really want them with the features you want. So, the panels I'm using, in fact, no, that's not it. The panels I'm using are 250 nits, and they're nice and bright. They're for industrial signage. You can go up, like a 300 and so on, but your price, you have to get a balance of price. But there you go. Go and have a play with that. There was a setting in here. Where you can, I forget what it is now. No, there's a setting in there somewhere. So panellook.com. Go and have a play with that. Will the internals handle this video? Composite. CGI, I realised I can use it on my seat. Right, okay, so look, I mentioned this earlier, you may not have been around. There you go. Yeah, it's a retro tink, right? A fitting kit. Actually, it's going to be bigger than that because this is the one for my original prototype, but it's that one basically. Sorry about the camera, the light's a bit bright, but there's and it will take a retro tink. Buy yourself a retro tink, and away you go, because he does such a good job with Super VHS and composite. And if you buy the basic one, you get Super VHS and composite. If you buy the Pro version, you get component, composite, and Super VGA. Well, you might want to have that instead of mine. It's up to you. It all goes in as HDMI. Now, bearing in mind, when you plug in via HDMI, your external HDMI is turned off. I'm looking at doing switches, but you are using your HDMI on these things. But you have the electronics to pair with. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's going to be really easy. That's the whole point of this. That it just literally. I don't know if you can see this. On here, there's a load of connectors, internal connectors, HDMI, VGA, AV component. They're all in. That's why I picked this board. And you just go internally. You'll have a cable that comes with it. You just plug it in internally, and there'll be a power lead, so you can just plug, your 5 volts. And away you go. There'll be probably two 5-volt power lines coming off of my board. Yeah, some of the panels are really bright. I don't think you need that bright, but that one's 250 nits, and I've got it turned right down. It's lovely. But the most important thing is when you go right around the side of it, you can still see it, and that really is the differentiator. What's the squeaky factor on that plastic? I suppose it's a good question. My plastics on my cases, because you're not massive, and It's not a bad question. I mean, they shouldn't creak. They're 3 mil. They're going to be really strong molds. But I don't think it'd be creaky. I mean, if you want, it might. I don't know. But my plastics are pretty strong, so. Just goes, yeah, yeah. It's not a bad question, I'd say. I'm in Portugal. Must I pay about 30% more to get that dream? Yes. No, but you're gonna have to pay your VAT. You've got to pay your VAT. People get annoyed. I say, look, I export it with no VAT because Brexit thankfully makes it more complicated. You get there and you have to pay your VAT. Okay. The only annoyance is they have a handling charge. Now, it's usually about £10-12. I can't do anything about it. And that's the shipping company. But the funny thing is, if you ship in £10,000 worth, it's still the same handling charge. It's just a figure they put on for doing the paperwork, which basically means no bloody paperwork. But so it's annoying. But Brexit. Apologies for that. How much time have you already spent developing the display? Oh, I don't know. No, I don't know. But I've been working on it for about 4 months. But it's not full time. I've been doing it full time. I've been doing it every minute of the day. I haven't really done much in the last month, to be fair. It was only because the last couple of days ago I thought I was going to go away for this weekend with family. So the day before I just went wallop. I just redid the design. In fact, I can show you that. In fact, let me show you what I start with. Let me show you this. If I show you this, then you can see that, yeah. But this is what it actually starts like. If I go back to there, yeah. No, that's not far enough. That's it. So basically, I have to build that. So I start. That's quite. I know it looks easy, but it's actually a little bit quite. No, because I'm old and I forget how to use the bloody software and have to relearn it. So, but yeah, so learning new stuff, and so that's the basics. And then what you do is you then add the bits in. Well, let's see what you add some fillets. There you go, and then you add some other bits in. So there's the cutout, right? And if I turn it around, see it's flat. It's solid, basically. So you do everything you've got to do. You see? You do absolutely everything you've got to do. Right? And then you cut that out. And the software, so you have to get it right. And then once you're happy with the design, the shape, basic shape, you then have to you hollow it out. And then that hollows it out to the right size. Okay, so that's then ready to go off, and then I then add all the cutouts. Well, yeah, then it turns into this. Basically, I have to do all these cutouts. If I zoom in on there, see you've got these cutouts, and see that there it goes in. I think I mentioned that already, but then the speaker will go through there. And on top, you see at the top, the air comes out there, but then that's just fake style. I mean, whether you like it or not, it's just I quite liked it. But yeah, so and then of course with panels, you might not want that one, but you can see you have a blank. Let's turn that one off. See, so you can change your panels. Yeah, it will come pretty much like that. To be fair, when you get it, that's how it will come. And not like previously, I make money on extras, and it really helps. So, for example, the mounting, they'll be moulded. So the mounting frames for these will be. So let's show you. Well, let's close. Let's close some of this down, and I'll show you some of the mount frames. Pain in the arse, keep turning this on and off, isn't it? Right, let's turn them off, that off. Right, let's go for this one. So here's the retro sync. You notice it's got like, oh, it's 2 lots, and there's a few little tweaks I've still got to do to this actually. But so you can put RetroTink Pro or the Mini, and that's why, if you remember rightly, that was curved. So you pop that in. Now these buttons is really, really. I tried doing a press button so it presses the button at the back. I wanted to push. And I thought, you know what? Why don't you just grab that and pull it? So this is not completely finished, but you see what happens here. This, basically, this here. Let me just click that whole button. Is that it? No. Is that it? No. Is that it? That button, basically, you just pull it, and it just pulls the button. But at the moment, it will spin round and come out. But I'm looking into a way, once I actually mould these, to block it so they can't. So you can get them in, but then you can't get them out, because otherwise it's inside. You've got to take it all out to fix it. But the key thing about this was, I want to be able to. This has got to be non-destructive, so you should be able to just drop your RetroTink in it, use it, and if you want to take it out, just unscrew it, pull it out, unclip it, go off with it. When you're ready, come back, slot it back in again, connect it up, bosh, done. 5 minutes, less than that, you should have that in and out. That's the idea of this. And of course you wouldn't put both in at the same time, but the same, because of moulding so expensive, the same mould will fit both. Because there is a big difference in price. Well, there's not a big difference. The Tink Mini's, I think, about $79, and the Pro is about $129. So like $50 more. But it gives you the component. But that's all it gives you, the extra component. And so you may want to go the component on my GBS board. Is there any possibility for touchscreen? Well, not really, no. I mean, no, there's a possibility. It's more money. But then you get driver problems, and it's look, if it's a success, maybe later, and if I can swap out the panels, I don't know. But initially, no. Speakers, would you put in this? Oh well, they're 4 ohms. The controller's only got I think that's 5 watts per channel. Now I've been putting speakers in the kind of 4 ohms, 5-10 watts. But I put one in, I thought, oh, this is silly, there's 25 watt ones and so on. But actually, you can't turn them up because it can't drive them that hard. But when it does drive it, like up to like 10 from 100, it actually sounds really good. So I'm still experimenting on it. I'm going to get some electronics advice before I choose the ones I've got. But I've got a few speakers. I've got 2 more sets coming in, which I'm going to basically pick the best. I'm not going to say the quality is important. Quality is really important, but price is still a factor, because ultimately people I'm going to pay a lot. But these will not be cheap speakers. They're those silly little cheap crap speakers. If you took them out, you go, wow, that's a serious bit of kit. They will be a nice big chunky. You probably saw the size of the speaker bracket. If I turn this on, you see the size of that bracket. That's a big speaker that's going to go in there. That's the kind of size I've been looking at the moment. So it won't be cheap. Won't be cheap speakers. Question: what is the complete list of option modules and or stuff for the front cutout? Oh, I don't know. That's what do you want? I'll give you the basic template design. I'll do one with probably 2 USBs and a speaker one on the front. I'll probably do those 2. Then the rest of it, I don't care. Do what you like. I'll give you the design, make your own. Because I can't do every single eventuality. 2 USBs and a headphone jack, I think, would be good ones. I think most people will be happy with that. But it's up to you what you want to do with it. It's a bit like the other product. If people say to me, "Oh, you're not developing it further." Richard said, "You're not developing it further." No, I've done as much as I could think of initially. Finish it. It's up to you now. If you want to change it, yeah, change it. What are the speakers size? They were originally 2 inch. They're like 2.5 inch. The actual gap there's 2.5 inch, and it's quite, as you see, there's a lot of depth there, with a big chunky magnet. So I'm looking at 2.5 inch speakers at the moment, with a bit of bass. But I'm not a bloody expert, so I don't know. I've got to decide whether to rubber mount them or not, or if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But again, I've made the opening so the sound can come out. The idea. My question was, what the idea of not using a stand at all is growing on me. Yeah, it's no, yeah. I mean, look, there will be a stand. I mean, at the end of the day, if the there'll be a stand because of the bloody moulding costs. It's gonna have to be stretch goal. You know, this thing's gonna be it's gonna be a fairly big Kickstarter. And it might fail, but I'm hoping because it goes across platforms that it will be a success. But the stand is an expensive thing, and so doing a 17-inch is expensive. It's another 10 grand. That's $10,000 to be fair, just to make the molds. It's expensive. But yeah, oh god, here we go. As for the I'm look. I mean, I got to stand on there because I've tested it. The funny thing was, you don't need to know that, but they glued the bloody thing on. It was meant to be moulded as one, and they glued it on. So I had a moan about it. But this one's going to be bolted on from the start, so it's designed. But it's only for me. This is just mine. Okay, they're going to bolt the stand on there, so you won't be able to tip it or anything like that. Because I know what will happen. I'll go to the show and people go, "Oh, well, that's a bit rough," and it was a prototype. So it's better for me to have it solid. Say that will come after the Kickstarter if it's a success. Because otherwise, I don't give a monkey. I'm quite happy with just take the stand off and put it on there. That one there, I mean, I really like. I'm kind of attached to that monitor. I mean, it's such a beautiful monitor. I know I'm biased and all that, but apparently I can't read comments. Yes, you must put rubber in speakers. Now, is that true? Should I rubber mount? I don't have a problem rubber mounting them, but should I rubber mount the speakers? Because I'm going to be speaking to obviously when I go to Kickstarter, I'm going to be talking to people about like the best speakers to pick and that kind of thing. Get some more advice because I'm not an audio guy. But yeah, I thought that's what I was saying about rubber mounted speakers. The usual source of buzz is between the plastic panels. Okay. Well, here's another thing, and I'm completely honest. The speakers on there, if there's no audio going on, there is that little high pitch whine, but these are not particularly brilliant speakers. But I do think it's coming from the preamp, the amp on the board. So again, that's something I've got to look into. Do I need to suppress the audio or something? I don't know, but we need to look into to get that right because I want it to sound really good. $1902 and 1080 didn't have a stand. No, it's true. Although my 1080, yeah, no, that's true. Didn't have a stand, but I want people to have a stand because I'm basing it on. You can't see this unfortunately on the pictures at the top. But they had lovely. Let's turn this rear. Let me turn. So I'm just going to set this back up again so you can actually see something. Base chin. There we go. Let's have a bezel. Let's pick a bezel, shall we? Pick a bezel, any bezel. There we go. So there's the difference. 17-inch, or 19-inch, 17-inch, 19-inch. Yeah, 1942 did, yeah, that's true, yeah. But you could take it off. It bolted on, you could take it off, and I'm going to do the same thing. You'll be able to remove it. It's not a permanent fixture. That's why it's going to be expensive. Because from my experiences, you make the money from the Kickstarter because afterwards it kind of peters off. Then the Plus cases are still selling, but the minis really don't sell that much. I'm quite surprised. I thought people would really go for the mini, but I've sold 3 times the amount of Plus cases to the mini, and it's still the most popular, which makes sense because you can put Amigas in it and stuff. So we'll see. So I've got to obviously make money from the monitors, but I'm hoping this is going to be a game changer with the monitor because it's cross-platform. Right. So quick comments then. Can you all put in the comment what you think of the monitor? Do you think I've got the design and do you think I'm on the right track with this? It is Fusion 360. Did I not? Was there a question about that? Wasn't there? Yeah, I use Fusion 360. It cost me a fortune and 400 quid a year. Really annoying. Well, as soon as no one's saying they like it, I'll take it you love it. Right, okay, so I'm gonna call it a day. Right, is there any more? Good. What is there any more questions you want to ask? Because I'm gonna go sit down. I've been on this all day long, and I wanted to get a few. I wanted to get a bit more done before I did this stream. It's always a good thing. I work better under pressure. But I mean, it's not far off now being ready. I'm just going to go through and I'm do some final checks. Look, this down here is ready. I'm going to stick with that. They are the little tiny buttons from this controller. I'm not going to do anything else, make it complex. And the infrared and the LED. The LED is really annoying. It's very bright, so I might put something, in front of it. I don't know yet, but that is actually very bright. Because people say, "Oh, really?" But the final one won't be like, because I'll be doing a custom board, and that whole area, the button and everything, it'll all be custom, laid out differently, so it'll be much nicer. When can we see the black option? When Paul renders it. Do you know what? I don't know whether to make a black one because it won't look like the final one because of the textures. So there's going to be a black one. It's just going to be a black one. The renders will be fairly close, but Paul's always got pretty close to the. But if I make a prototype, the black one, it'll be similar, but it won't be the same as the final version. So, but think of it, it's gonna have a very fine like sandblasting texture on it because it's the way it's going to be. It'll look better, and I think that's going to look better for this product. So this time I'm going to do that. Not the heavy duty texture, but I think it looks quite nice on monitors if you got the little the sandblast look. I vote for a checkmate chin to that monitor. Yeah. I remember a little Atari monitor for my Falcon. It's not little. It's a big monitor. I like it. I do want to see a bit more checkmate-ness. What do you mean by checkmate-ness? Define that, because I know I've got the button and I will have the button on there, and it's going to have the expansion potential and all that kind of stuff. But what do you mean by checkmate-ness? Because I don't know. Right. Any more questions? Because I'm going to give you a minute. I'll answer while there's questions. Because at the moment I need a leak. Actually, I was going to say, that I've not got much of a shot on there, but actually that looks quite good, doesn't it? What I should do actually is pull that up like that. There you go. Off-center logo, button, etc. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm going to brand this time. So I'm probably going to go for the checkmate logo right in the middle there, and literally, I haven't trademarked it yet, but I'm probably going to trademark it. But yeah. Yeah. let's see what this actual shot, because I quite like this actually, showing it like that. Let me just put it into render mode. Is that... Oh, look at that. Is that doing it for you? let's try, if I turn it... Oh! See if I can find another view that looks good. Here we go. Pan. How's that? Don't look too bad actually, does it? Well, when you've got all the smoothing on properly, it's just a little step there. It doesn't look too bad. I could have made it black, but you wouldn't be able to see it. The only trouble with black is you can't bloody see it. LED lights for fun. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It'd be good, wouldn't it? Put LED lights in it. Yeah, Paul, what it needs is you to render the bloody thing. I tell you what, Paul's online. You know, he's the imaginative guy. So you know, I'll probably talk to Paul, because Paul will make this look wonderful again with the renders. He's got a version, but he's got an old version of this now, so he needs a new version of this. Then he can do some renders and make it look pretty. But yeah, and he can do some black ones. But the trouble with black, you can't, in pictures it's rubbish, you can't see it. And a sub in the bottom. Yeah, no. Well, I ain't got a final version yet. The final version isn't final. This is almost final. There's not much more to do. It really isn't much to do on this now. I mean, I literally finished the. I'm actually quite happy with a lot of it now. You know, this bit at the bottom. Yes, I know it's not perfect because it's just the silly little black buttons, but it's a prototype, and I'm not making a new board for a prototype. So we will do a new board when this is the final one. We'll do a new board, and then that will allow me to make that big button real, spread everything out, maybe do some other things and use the space that we've got. Although, to be fair, it's literally that bit there now, and then it might be that I sink the whole thing back and put a drop down door. Probably not. I don't know. I really don't know yet, because I think it looks quite nice like that. I've got to sort the LED out though, because it's too bloody bright. What colour LED? Red. Mega. Right. Okay. I'm going to call it a day now. So thanks so much for coming. Thanks for joining in. Might do another one next Monday. I don't know yet. We'll see. But if I don't, I'll do one the following week. But we are getting pretty close to me ordering the plastics and the metalwork for the new version. And so, and again, you know, to be honest, if I launch the Kickstarter in end of March, you know, we're not far off it, we're only like 8 weeks away. So, you know, it's not far to go. Thanks so much. Actually, I need to go to the loo. It's hilarious, isn't it? So, I'll see you all soon. And I don't know, maybe see you next week. All right, speak to you later. Thanks, bye.